Okay, let's just forget all the usual tech hype for a minute. Today, we're going to dig into something different. We're looking at 7 companies that are the actual builders of our technological future. And really, it all starts with this one big question. What if the next wave of wealth isn't in the obvious places? What if it's in the actual building blocks of this whole AI and electrification boom? That's what we're focused on today. We're going to look past the headlines and find the companies doing the real, gritty, heavy lifting. And you know what? The timing for this is absolutely critical. Because as inflation starts to cool down, the market is getting a whole lot smarter. That whole era of easy money, yeah, that's fading. Now investors want to see real, tangible results, not just buzzwords. It's a massive shift, really, from just hype to actual execution. All right, so let's dive into our first big theme, building the AI engine. We're talking about the companies that are providing the physical backbone for this whole AI revolution. This is where the digital world gets, well, very real. So, AI is booming, right? But have you ever stopped to think about what it's actually built on? I mean, before we even get to the companies, let's just pause on that. AI isn't just some abstract cloud of code floating around. Nope, it needs massive, power-hungry, and unbelievably sophisticated hardware and infrastructure just to exist. And that's where 2 companies come into play that are absolutely central to this physical build-out. First, you've got Supermicro. They're what you might call the AI engine builder. And then there's Applied Digital, the AI factory builder. Okay, so first up is Supermicro. These guys build the absolute workhorses of the AI world, high-performance servers. Seriously, think of them as crafting these insanely powerful engines that giants like NVIDIA and AMD have to run their world-changing chips. And I love this analogy for their tech, Lego for supercomputers. It's perfect, right? It just brilliantly captures their key advantage. Because their systems are modular, they can be reconfigured and adapted incredibly fast to whatever's new. And in the world of AI, that speed is a massive, massive edge. Okay, so if Supermicro is building the engines, then where do you put them? That's where Applied Digital comes in. They build the specialized factories, the data centers, where all those engines run. And these aren't just any old data centers. They're next-gen, optimized with things like liquid cooling, all the stuff this crazy powerful hardware needs just to survive. All right, let's move on to our next big idea, powering tomorrow's world. Because think about it, all this new tech, from AI data centers to EVs, it all needs a staggering amount of power. And not just power, but very specific, specialized materials. And that brings up a really crucial question, doesn't it? Where is all this vast energy, and where are these strategic materials gonna come from? I mean, how do we actually power this future we're all talking about? Well, the analysis points to 2 companies that are tackling this challenge head-on. You've got Energy Fuels, which is in this really unique spot with both uranium and rare earths. And then there's USA Rare Earth, which is all about bringing a critical supply chain back home to the US. Okay, so Energy Fuels has this really fascinating kind of 2-for-1 position. On one hand, they operate the only licensed uranium mill in the entire US, which is huge for the growing demand for nuclear. But at the same time, they're also becoming a key hub for processing rare earth elements. The stuff that's absolutely essential for EVs and wind turbines. And the source material just nails it by calling them America's uranium and rare earth engine. I mean, think about that. It's one company playing a pivotal role in 2 of the biggest resource trends of our lifetime. Pretty amazing. And then you have USA Rare Earth. Their mission, it's crystal clear. They want to build a complete mine-to-magnet supply chain right here inside America,
We're talking about the powerful magnets used in everything from defense systems to green tech. It's all about bringing that entire process from the dirt to the final product back home.
Okay, let's shift gears again. Now we're going to look at a couple of companies that are way out there on the absolute frontier of technology. This is the really high potential, game-changing stuff. The ideas that are just pushing the boundaries of what we even think is possible.
And here they are. AST Space Mobile, which is trying to get rid of mobile dead zones forever from space. And D-Wave Quantum, which is actually making quantum computing a practical thing for businesses like right now.
So AST Space Mobile's goal is, well, it's nothing short of revolutionary. They're building a network of satellites that your regular everyday smartphone can connect to directly from anywhere on Earth. Yet, no special phone, no extra gear. Just think about what that means. It's a total game changer for emergency services in remote places or for connecting billions of people who are still offline.
And again, the analogy is just perfect. Cell towers in space. That's it. It just perfectly captures the huge scale and ambition of what they're doing.
You know, when you hear quantum computing, it usually sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But D-Wave is different. That's why they're called the practical quantum player, because they are already selling solutions that help businesses solve these unbelievably complex problems. Think logistics, manufacturing, that kind of stuff. This isn't quantum for some far-off future, it's quantum for today.
Okay, for our final theme, let's bring it back down to earth a little bit and talk about a company that's building something new for you and me, the consumer. We're talking about modernizing personal finance. And this is all about SoFi's growth flywheel. It's this powerful four-step process that just keeps feeding itself. So check this out. First, they get you in the door as a member. Then they start offering you other products, right? Loans, investing, the whole shebang. That grows their deposits. And this is the key part. Because they're a real bank, they can use those deposits to fund loans more cheaply. Cheaper loans mean more profit, and that profit just fuels more growth. It's this brilliant self-reinforcing cycle. So, we've looked at AI engines, rare earths, space-based internet. What's the one thing that ties all 7 of these companies together? It all boils down to this one big idea, the builder's thesis. The core concept is simple. Invest in the companies that are building tomorrow's world. But here's the thing, investing in these companies requires a certain mindset. For these foundational long-term plays, the ups and downs, the volatility, that's not a bug, it's a feature. You could even call it the price of admission for potentially huge long-term growth. So the real takeaway here is to start seeing market dips as discounts, not disasters. It's all about having long-term conviction in these quality assets.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. The future isn't just something that happens, it's being built. Right now, by companies just like the ones we've talked about. So the real question is, the future is being built now, where will you be? Thanks for joining.